You're right.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for letting me speak before you. I was gonna, like, this morning I was going to remark on, like every meeting I've come to, this is the biggest historical society meetings that I usually come to, and then I come tonight, and I'm going to blame him. So it's, I wasn't really on the docket. I kind of pushed my way in there. For those who don't know me, I'm the director of the library system here in Perry County, right next door. My name is Nathan Jochum. If you don't know me, you may know my aunt, Sister Mary Emma Jochum, who passed away recently. She was my aunt. Because everybody asked that question, I'll just save that so you don't have to ask later. But we're doing a lot of really neat things at the library. I don't know if you've noticed more of us being out in the community, our new logo, our just being out there and being present, outreach, doing things, whether it be having pool parties for the summer reading. We worked with the mural and music down at the river, which I thought was very successful for being the first time we tried that. I come from Evansville, where I worked for I was in Evansville for 25 years. I worked in the library system over there for 17. For those of you who remember Larry Othout, I worked with him for a few years over in Evansville. He was kind of my mentor, and he's thrilled that I'm down here too. So I talked to Larry. Larry always tells me to tell everybody Perry County hello. One of the things that I did in Evansville that I wanted to bring here is, when I came here, I wanted to kind of get a lay of the land. I'm from Huntingburg originally, so I know small town Indiana, and I know what people love, and I grew up on a farm, just like a lot of other folks around here, and so one thing I've noticed is you really take pride in your town, your county, and you also really love your history. And that's evident by how big the Historical Society meetings I've been to have been, just the number of people involved, and the people that are volunteering for stuff like that. And so one of the projects that I kind of spearheaded when I was at Evansville was a $1.5 million project of digitizing all the entire Evansville newspapers. And that goes from 1853 to 1992. We digitized every single issue. If you remember, Evansville actually had 2 papers a day for a while. That's where the $1.5 million kind of went up. And this project is not $1.5 million. I will just preface by saying that. But one of the things I looked at was, we have microfilm. We have a digital microfilm machine over there, but I got so used to what we did, and so I started looking around. And because of competition, the prices have really went down. So I found a company called, I'm going to have to pull them up here. I found a company called Advantage Archives, and they had really good prices on the way they do things. Now, we have a lot of microfilm over at the library, and the way we did it, they break it down. You could digitize $175 a roll. If you wanted to digitize the paper, it's 55 cents a page. I mean, that adds up, as you can imagine. But once it's digitized, it's saved forever. And it's also, I'll give you an example of it, because Knox County and Vincennes, my friend Emily, who is the director up there, she kind of started this working with them, and I talked to her, and she had nothing but great things to say about this company. And when I talked to them, they answered all my questions that I was concerned about. But basically, I want to make all or as many of the Perry County newspapers keyword searchable from your home that you can print out and access them anywhere. Now, you won't need a library card. You will need to go through our website. We want you to go through our website. Our new website that we're almost done with. That's probably me being slow. But you won't need a library card. So let's say you had family members that moved out west, live in the south or whatever. They can still be able to access all of Perry County's newspapers and do searches on them. And it's super easy. Now, before I show you this, when I started talking to my bookkeeper, Ginger, I'm like, I have all these ideas, and then she has to rein me in and say, we don't have the money for that. And so then I was like, okay, I got to start writing grants. I got to start finding this, finding that. I'm happy to say that we did receive our first grant for this project from the Community Foundation. The Community Foundation was more than generous to award us with the amount, the maximum amount that I asked for this project to help get it started as a foundation. No pun intended. But also, though, too, the Browning Genealogy Foundation that gives us money every year, so we can use that money to put towards this project. We have some money that we can maybe put towards this project. And I also want to, reach out to all you as well, and the Historical Society in general, because to me, this is for everybody, and it's ownership for everybody. So everybody, help make the news, help, preserve the history, and, it will be accessible. What we found out is when we did it in Evansville, once we got it up, and I know it's apples and oranges compared to Evansville to here, because of the size difference, but we were getting about 57,000 searches a month from this newspaper archive once we got it completed. And we didn't actually get it completed right away, it was in spurts. But we had the newspapers using it. We had the schools all using it. So like, let's say, or you had somebody like me who wanted to, I type in the last name Jochum, and it will pull up every article where my last name was in. It doesn't matter. All the way back to the 1860s or whatnot. And so, you learned a lot that way, good and bad. Depends on what you're looking for. But it even searched advertisements and this and that. So this will do kind of the same thing. But I'll give you the easiest example, then I'll show you the site. I was a head of reference for years and years and years. And I had somebody call me from California one time, and they wanted a copy of their engagement photo that was in the newspaper. And so I said, okay, when was it? And he said, well, we think it was June of 1958, which undoubtedly, definitely, it was not going to be June of 1958. When somebody tells me that, then I know it's not. So, I started looking in the month first, found nothing. So I started looking in the months before, months after. I said, look, I spent, in my free time, when I had a little bit of free time, I probably spent weeks looking for it. I couldn't find it. I finally said, look, we're digitizing this stuff. I said, why don't you let me get this year up, and as soon as that year's up, I'll search for it, and I'll find it, and I'll send it to you. But we got it up. So the 3 months that I spent looking for it, it took me about 3 minutes to find it once it was digitized. And I think, that it is great. And, I know the mayor, he's got a bunch of books in the back of his van right now. That's probably not the best place.
They're not in their van right now.
Okay.
They're in a safe, they're
Okay.
safe.
But, archival material, especially like those bound newspaper books, they're only going to last for so long. And we need to preserve them. And it's the same thing with microfilm. Microfilm doesn't last forever. It's kind of like VHS tape. It's going to wear out after a while. So by doing a digitization project like this, we preserve it forever. One of the concerns I had is what happens if this company goes under? Well, they gave me the assurances that all the files would be turned over to us, and we could do with them as we wanted to, whether we wanted to put them on another platform or build our own database. So that was an option because I didn't want to lose any of the work that we did. We also have the option to do this project in as many chunks as we want to. So if we want to put $20,000 down this year to work on it, we could do another 5 next year. We could do another 15 the year after. And for me, I want to do as much as possible up front and then build off of that. And I was thinking at the last month's meeting when Steve was doing his presentation and reading, that I thought that would be a great thing to digitize and just have, on that site, because, I mentioned so many people from Perry County, and there's that connection there. And, the mayor and I were talking about different things that could be digitized as well. And, even old German papers could be digitized. And, it doesn't matter. As long as they're in good enough shape, we ship them off, we get them back. So I'll give you a little example on what it would look like. So this is let's say here. So yeah, this is the Knox County Library's Community History Archive. So I don't know if you can see in the back, but Knox County has their logo, and of course we put our brand new logo, which I'm very proud of, at the top here. The Community Foundation will probably have their big old logo right here since they were so generous to us. But what I am also wanting to do is any organization, business, or individuals that want to help contribute to this database as well. We started creating our own fund in the library to funnel money just to put into that fund for this project. And so then I talked to the folks at Advantage Archives, and we could list all those folks there, and businesses and organizations that help make this possible, kind of like you would with Bricks, who help contribute to a project, or anybody else, or park benches or whatnot. But just like I said, I feel that this is a community project that everybody can buy into, and there's no pressure either for the organization or the individuals. I'm very passionate about wanting this to happen. And the library will do everything it can to make as much of it happen as possible. But I'm going to be writing a lot of grants, I have a feeling. But that's okay, because I got a grant background. So right here it says you can search for all the words. So you can search for people, places, and events. You just type a keyword in, it's going to pop it up. You can actually put the date in there. So you can, right now it's searching between 1/1/1835 and 12/31/22. So, like, let's say I don't know, I'm gonna type in probably John Smith. Probably can't go wrong with that. And I hit discover. All right, so we only have 3,145 articles with the word John Smith in them. So this one here is back from 1897. So, you can kind of go through it a little bit and figure out, which one's which. But if I click on that, it'll bring the newspaper article up just as it was.
Oh, no.
And it's all highlighted here, so you know exactly where it's at. And from there, you can crop that article out. You can save it as a PDF. You can print it. It says it's got the crop option here. You can download it. You can download the whole page if you wanted to. And so there's all kinds of options that you can do. You can change the page width. You could, if you want to read it more, you can kind of make the fonts even bigger, because some of it is.
So, as far as the process goes, do you all give the newspapers to this company and they put it in, or is this something that your staff is doing?
No, our staff does not have the capability or capacity to do that. We don't have the materials. And when I talked to them about that, now the microfilm's really easy. I can just ship that to them, and we have archival boxes that they would provide to us, and they would be contained and everything. And so it's really the paper materials that would be the most sensitive. But we talked about that, and I've worked in archival stuff before. If it's done right, I feel pretty confident about shipping the stuff off, and there's usually a quick turnaround. And what most people don't know either is, you've heard of these doomsday scenarios. If everything would go bad, they got the seeds collections everywhere. They have all these other things. Did you know they have a newspaper collection too? They do down in Texas, actually. It's a big giant warehouse that's just nothing but microfilm from different newspapers from across the country. And I don't know if Perry County stuff is in there, but I know Evansville stuff was in there. And I'd say that's where like newspaper.com gets some of their stuff and some of the other ones. But along with that, you can actually browse by title. So if I don't know how many newspapers there were in Perry County at any point in time, but we would be able to separate all those out into all those years. So if you only wanted to look at a certain newspaper from a certain year, you could do that. If you wanted just to browse by year, let's say I wanted to go to 1940 to 1949, I can pick, okay, I'm gonna pick 1949, and then I can actually pick the day and the month, so you can go right straight to that newspaper. So like, let's say,
Right, the 16th.
what's that?
The 16th.
Well, it looks like on this one, they only have the 1st to the 10th, so you gotta choose between one of those.
Doesn't matter.
But if you do that, then, like say, if I bring up Thursday, February 10th, 1949, it just brings up the entire newspaper from that.
Now, is that just pulling up the John Smith that you had in the
Yeah, actually I think it is, because
Yeah, I
I
think
didn't
so.
clear that out.
Yeah.
Good call on that one. I'm sure, wait, I bet you if I redefine the search,
Type in Ohio River. I bet you get a lot of articles.
Oh, yeah.
well, we'll just type in Ohio, see what we get. Well, that's still the 10th. Either way, let's see here. We can either go to search all the words, exact phrase, any of the words, or none of the words. It's just like searching basically the internet. And so, hopefully this kind of gives you a little bit of idea of what it would be like. And you can do advanced search. They've got resources on here. You can contact us if you have any trouble or whatnot. But we're laying the groundwork now that I think that we can get probably about half the microfilm started. There's some platform fees or whatever, but I'm real adamant about this project. And if it takes years, it takes years. But of course, we have plenty of years to catch up on, and the years aren't going anywhere. So this is definitely one of the things, though, that I want to do at the Perry County Public Library. Yes.
So what is the range between years that you have in the microfilm? Like what's going to be searchable for Perry County?
So I knew you were going to ask. I wish Tammy would have came with me. She could be able to answer all those questions. I know. All I cared about was at the time. I know that we're missing some spots here and there, but I think though that if we work together between the Historical Society and the library and other places, the museum or whatnot, we can fill in some of those gaps and make that all work and actually figure out which is the best form of microfilm too. So I know that, like I said, we have quite a bit of microfilm, and we're not missing too much, I don't think. Now, of course, like I told you the other day, anything from 1972 to present, I would need to get copyright okay on that, because it is still under copyright. So I couldn't just digitize it, but anything before that is public domain, and I could just digitize that and put that up there. So that's, this is a big project, and when I came here, like I said, it was one of the first things I noticed. I see Steve back there every day on her microfilm, and then I let him test this out, and he's like, oh, you gotta get this. So there's something he was looking for. When I let him use one of the Evansville ones that did the keyword search, found everything he was looking for within 10 minutes or so. He was thrilled. And so I just think, though, that from a community standpoint, preserving history and having it at our fingertips, as long as you have Wi-Fi access or web access from anywhere in the world, you'll be able to access Perry County's history.
So do I understand you only have funding for about half of it so far?
Yeah, and the thing is it might be half of the microfilm, And you have to start somewhere, you know, so.
So what kind of dollars do you need to finish it?
Well, that's a work in progress. You know, right now I want to concentrate on the microfilm first, which I know is $45,000 just for that, and then I want to start working on some of the other loose papers after that. Now, there are plenty of archival grants. There's community archival grants through the state, national. The state usually has an LSTA grant for digitization, which I know that I've gotten 5 of those grants before, so I have a feeling that, you know, once that opens up, we won't have any problem. I can get $20,000 from them, which I have before. And so, you know, like I said, I just want to throw it out there as a possible group community project, and there's no pressure either way. The library will take control of this and do as much as we possibly can through our gift funds, because we, you know, quite honestly, when I took the job, I wanted to look over the budget, and we had so many gift funds that we hadn't touched for many years, and they were just sitting there. And I said, oh, no,
Yeah.
they're not going to sit there no more. We got stuff to do. So
what's the timeline? What are you thinking?
well, you know, the first step was getting that grant from the Community Foundation. And they gave us the check last week, and then once that's announced publicly, which it hasn't been yet, is where I'll make the call. And I've been out. I was out last week a little bit after we got the check, and then I'll be out a couple more days after this. So actually Thursday or Friday, I'm gonna make the call to these folks and say, okay, let's get it ready, because we can get started. We're gonna move some other money into the fund. We're gonna move some of our money that's set aside into the fund. So I think we can just get it started and just work on it incrementally, you know, and as we can get it done, you know. So.
So in Perry County, I know that there's been multiple papers throughout history. So there's like the Candleton paper, the Tell City paper. There was even a German paper at one point. I can't think of what it was called.
Okay.
So I've never looked at the microfilm at the library. Is it just the Perry County News, or does it go back to those other papers as well?
I do think we.
Even the German ones.
That's what I was about to ask, because that to me that'd be really interesting.
Huh?
I'd like to see that.
Yeah. And
Now,
I
if it will translate the German to English,
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I know a guy in Evansville who did that. That's what he did.
Oh, my.
That's what he did for fun. He would translate all those.
Go ask him if he wants to come to Perry County and have fun.
Yeah.
Is your strategy to start early and come forward in time, or to start at the present and move back? To you.
That's good. Good question. You put me on the spot.
You haven't thought about it?
I'm thinking about the money right now.
Yeah,
Then
no,
I'm
I
worried
get
about how. No.
I would think start from the oldest and work
I
your way
usually, yeah, that's usually what I would do, is start from the oldest and go forward. You know, because some of that newer stuff is easier to find, but something from the late 1800s, you know, that's not easily searchable or you know, and stuff like that. So that's probably where we'll start. That's where we started in Evansville, and you know, and we'll just kind of go that way and keep on progressing through, and all the newspapers, you know, wherever we can. So you know, if we do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, at least we can fill in some of the gaps and just keep filling in the gaps as we go, because then that calendar you saw will start to fill up even more and more. That those will be available.
This.
Does is there ways to translate German to English? I mean, online sometimes if you see something in German, there's a program to translate.
There's a lot of free programs. I translated an entire book into Spanish once. So there are a
I
lot
don't
of
know
free
if that can be
programs.
tied in, if that's tied in.
So like with the digitized copy.
Somebody could go through themselves and just highlight the German words and put it into an engine in the computer that'll translate it for them.
Okay, because I didn't think from an actual scanned newspaper you could translate it.
You would have to copy and paste like you would into a PDF
Okay,
or something.
that's what we had. The gentleman that I worked with,
Yeah.
that's what he would do. So
Yeah.
it's possible.
It's able to be done. You just have
Yeah.
to want to take the time to do it.
He loved doing it.
So yeah, like if you're that interested.
Yeah.
I didn't have another question, but I was gonna say that you doing this is going to make my life as a researcher so much easier. For
I'm here to make all your lives.
I appreciate that. Well, for example, okay, there's an old Catholic church behind Magnolia Coffee Shop. One of the oldest churches there are in Candleton. Beautiful. Yes, St. Michael's. You know exactly which one I was talking about. Gorgeous. I wrote a big article on that church. I could find nothing at all online about this church that is from the 1800s and has so much history. I had to go physically to members of the church and get as much information as I possibly could out of them because there is literally nothing. So I imagine in the Perry County newspapers, I doubt I was the first person to ever write about St. Michael's.
I'm here to make your life easier, Kate.
Thank you, Nathan. Make my life easier.
Are there other communities in this area that do this? Have done it, do you know?
Well, so, like I said, this is Knox County,
Yeah.
which has been since. Evansville's, all their newspapers up to date or digitized. I can't speak for some of the other. I know Warren County's maybe starting to look into doing this. I'm big into it because I've done this project before and I've done it on a much larger, more complex level than this.
Yeah.
And so, I just thought this was really important. And like I said, even to this day, I ask about the numbers every once in a while. They're still through the roof for that Evansville database. And that right there just makes it all worthwhile. And there's no way we're going to spend $1 million, but we're preserving it, we're keeping it, and it's there for generations to come. That people can search it long after all of us are gone.
And you'll address those microfilms that are worn out and there's several years that are almost not readable.
Yeah, but there's also ways that we can highlight those and lighten those up a bit too.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've talked to the folks, and I know that with the other folks I dealt with as well, that was always an issue. And yeah, we can lighten those up. Or you can actually change, I think you can change the way it looks on here so you can change it around so you can see it a little bit better or adjust the color. Maybe that was on the other digital microfilm, but I think they're going to take the best. We talked about that as well because I had the same problem too. I'm working with Evansville's, 1853 Evansville Journals, which, was a small African-American newspaper. And they were in rough shape. You couldn't hardly read them, but we lightened them up a little bit and they can still keyword search.
How do you get the information to them? You don't send those big books, do you? Or
We'll send the microfilm to them, and then they'll send it back to us. They're pretty efficient that way. I talked about the actual physical books, and I told them my concerns from being on the archival side of things. But these are also people that have worked in the archives for a really long time, so we have to handle things with kid gloves, white gloves, handle it with care, and that's what we went to school for. So, it's in good hands, and we're not going to just throw it in the UPS box and send it off. That's for sure.
where is this located at?
So I think they're located out of Minnesota, if I understand correctly. But there's a bunch of them all over the country. I priced and quoted them out, and to me, for as simple as this is to use, and as easy and as clean as it looks, I thought this was the best value for the dollar. And that's kind of really my presentation. I just want to kind of give you a sneak preview on this. And like I said, I'm not up here to beg or anything like that. But if anybody has anything they want to contribute to the Historical Society, this is all a group community project where we can all work together on, and everybody wins. So, and just think about all kinds of the presentations you can do once this thing's up. So.